What's up, guys? Kyle McGee here, your pack champion, here for your recap of WWE Elimination Chamber 2022. So, this event, the final stop on the road to WrestleMania, which will be the date of the next ThePack predictions contest for the Pack Championship. This is the final stop on the road to WrestleMania, and it took place this past Saturday, February 19th, 2022, from the Jeddah Superdome in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, with a reported attendance of 33,328. I did really like the stadium and the stage setup they had for this event. Of course, WWE always goes out of their way to make the stage and the ramp in the Saudi Arabia events kind of look like a WrestleMania level event. So during the pre-show, we kicked things off with Rey Mysterio and The Miz. This feud's been building on Raw, and it continued here. They're going to face each other with Dominic Mysterio at ringside. Dominic Mysterio starting to sport that Eddie Guerrero mullet. Nice little tribute, whether it's intentional or not. This is your pretty standard Rey Mysterio and Miz match. They're going to go 9 minutes and 15 seconds. There's going to be tons of interference from Dominic, which was, to me, one of the more off-putting parts of this match. Just simply because it almost made them look like the heel at times. Of course, Miz is such a great heel in his own right that there was no questioning who the heel was here. It's your pretty standard match between these two guys. They have great chemistry together. You know, Miz working his signature offense. Lots of high-flying moves, Hurricane Ranas, and head scissors from Rey Mysterio. And near the end of the match, The Miz gets a chair. Dominic goes to take it away from him as the ref's back is turned, but The Miz has outsmarted him. And the referee turns around and sees Miz in the corner on the outside of the ring, looking like he's been hit in the head with the chair. And Dominic holding the chair, so Dominic's going to get thrown out. He protests, says he didn't hit him with the chair. He's pointing to the commentators in the crowd, like basically saying, ask them, I didn't do it. Ray's arguing with him, the referee. They're trying not to get him thrown out, but as they're arguing, The Miz takes advantage, comes in, clubbing blow to the back of the head of Rey Mysterio, sets up the skull-crushing finale, but Ray's going to jump up and roll through and get the roll-up. 1, 2, 3, and Rey Mysterio is your winner in 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Decent opening match for the pre-show match. I personally give it a B-. It wasn't anything bad, but wasn't anything special, you know. It's worth a watch if you want to watch it, but it's not something I'd say you need to go out of your way to see. This was more than anything, I think, setting up a WrestleMania match, which we will get to in a little bit. So after that, we're going to get over to the main card now. So on the main card, here's what this event has been building towards. We have, of course, 2 Elimination Chamber matches on the night. We have the Raw Women's Elimination Chamber match, which is going to be a title eliminator Elimination Chamber match. The winner is going to face the winner of tonight's Raw Women's Championship match between Lita, the legend herself, the WWE Hall of Famer, and Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. That's taking place later in the night. But we have the Raw Women's Elimination Chamber match is going to have Rhea Ripley, Nikki ASH, the former tag team champions together, who are now feuding with each other after Nikki's heel turn and betrayal. We have Liv Morgan. We have Bianca Belaire, we have Doudrop, and then we have the returning. I actually, now that I mentioned, I'm not sure if I mentioned Liv Morgan. So Nikki ASH, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belaire, Doudrop, and the returning Alexa Bliss, who's returning after her therapy. Her character didn't really seem all that different here, so I'm not sure what the point of those segments was. But one thing I want to comment on is Alexa Bliss was over huge with this crowd. Most of the women throughout the entire night were actually over huge with this crowd. They didn't have them wear baggy t-shirts this time, which was kind of nice. They just took like a full body spin on their normal ring gear, and it actually worked out really well. But that's the Raw Women's Championship title Elimination Chamber match. We also have the WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match. So Raw got both Elimination Chamber matches. It's going to see Bobby Lashley defending against Riddle, AJ Styles, Seth freaking Rollins, Austin Theory, and Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar won the Royal Rumble. We have the Viking Raiders challenging the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. We have Drew McIntyre taking on Madcap Moss. He's been feuding with Madcap and Baron Corbin since before the Royal Rumble. And this really is going to set the stage for the WrestleMania match, I believe, between Drew McIntyre and Happy Corbin. We also have Ronda Rousey and Naomi taking on Sonya Deville and Charlotte Flair. But Brock Lesnar, the Royal Rumble winner, has already declared that he is going to take on the Universal Champion, which is Roman Reigns. But Roman Reigns has a test on his hands on the way to WrestleMania as he has to defend the title against Goldberg, which is going to open the show. They're going to go 6 minutes here. Roman Reigns' entrance probably lasted as long as this match, but I think we all expected that. It was a hard-hitting match. These two lock up to get out of the gate. Goldberg's over huge with the crowd. Some heavy strikes here. Goldberg lands a spear early. They end up going to the outside, brawling for a little bit. Roman gets the upper hand, and as Roman sets up for his spear, Goldberg counters and drills him with a spear of his own. And then Goldberg signals to the crowd to set up the jackhammer. As he goes for the jackhammer, Roman pulls him into the guillotine choke. And he has this locked in for quite a while. We even see Goldberg get to the ropes and grab them, but the referee doesn't issue a count or anything. I almost wonder if maybe Goldberg was losing his balance and did that just to hold himself up. It was very peculiar. Doesn't look like it was planned because the referee made no attempts to break them up. They worked their way away from the ropes. And Roman Reigns is going to choke Goldberg out cold for, to my knowledge, the first submission loss of Goldberg's career. At the very least, it is his first submission loss in the WWE. I believe he may have lost to the Steiner Recliner at one point in WCW. But his first WWE submission loss comes to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns retains in exactly 6 minutes. It was a decent match for what it was. We weren't expecting this to be, a 5-star Dave Meltzer classic. That's never what this was going to be. They told a good story here. I'm going to give this a B- as well, just like I did the Rey Mysterio and Miz match for a different reason, obviously. I liked the story they told here. And this is officially the last match on Goldberg's contract. So unless a new contract is signed, this is the end of Goldberg's run in WWE. I'd imagine it probably will be. I think they're getting to a point where they're not really going to get much more usefulness out of him. There's not really that many more intriguing matchups for him. They've kind of gone through them all now. So, hell of a way to end his run, I think, with this and the Lashley match from Crown Jewel, which, if you watch my recap of that, you'll know I loved that. That's probably my favorite match of his entire WWE run, aside from the Brock stuff at WrestleMania 33. So after this, we are going to move on to the Raw Women's Elimination Chamber match. We're going to kick things off with Nikki ASH and Liv Morgan. We are going to see a lot of trash talking from Nikki ASH to Rhea Ripley, her former tag team partner, while she's in the pod. We've got Liv Morgan with a nice tribute to Britney Spears. I believe it was the Oops, I Did It Again gear. It looked great. Nikki ASH gear is pretty much the same that she usually wears, just with long sleeves and the blue part of her trunks over the tights going down a little bit further so as to be less revealing. They have a pretty good back and forth as they get going, but then Doudrop's going to come in, and Doudrop is going to clear house for a bit. Kind of strong power moves, slamming both these two into the chamber. You've got Nikki ASH ends up getting the advantage and takes over as Rhea Ripley comes in. And Nikki is no longer trash talking. She is terrified. She's trying to run away. Of course, Rhea Ripley's going to end up getting her. She eventually hits the Riptide. 1, 2, 3. Nikki ASH is the first person eliminated, and she's eliminated by Rhea Ripley. So the match is going to continue on for a little bit. We see a good little bit of action. Doudrop is going to be the next one eliminated. She's eliminated by Liv Morgan. And then Alexa Bliss is out next. And Alexa Bliss starts to take over the match. This is her first match since Extreme Rules back in, I want to say, September. In either September or October was the last time we've seen her wrestle. And she kind of takes over this match for a bit. And Bianca Belaire comes out. She is going to, of course, lift up. I believe she lifts up Liv Morgan off the top of my head. Yeah, she lifts up Liv Morgan when she comes out, and she holds her up with her traditional military press, and then changes it over to the one hand, drops her down. We see the handspring moonsault that she does. A lot of back and forth from these women here. Alexa Bliss is going to end up eliminating Liv Morgan after a nice little bit of show of strength from by Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, where they kind of show off and hold Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss up respectively for suplexes, and then they kind of jaw jack each other, go back and forth. Ripley slaps her across the face, tells her she's sick of it. She's sick of her trying to one-up her. These two end up going at it. And then we've got a KOD attempt from Bianca Belair. Rhea's going to counter out of it. These two are going to end up going at each other again. But then a double knee to the face by Liv Morgan. And that is when Alexa Bliss is going to come in and hit her with kind of like a flipping DDT almost. It's kind of hard to describe what she does. She hits the Twisted Bliss, and that's when the elimination of Liv Morgan that I mentioned comes in. Liv Morgan is out, so we are down to Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss, and Bianca Belair. Rhea Ripley is going to very quickly get eliminated by a KOD by Bianca Belair, and then Alexa Bliss and Bianca Belair are going to have a pretty good back and forth. They get This Is Awesome chance. KOD attempt gets countered. We have, Alexa Bliss goes for a DDT, but Bianca is planning her weight down, not letting her do it. She ends up going for the DDT again after she counters a suplex, but Bianca, hand springs out of it, eventually hits the KOD, 1, 2, 3 on Alexa Bliss. And Bianca Belair is going to win this match, and she is going to go on to WrestleMania. And this match is going to go 15 minutes and 45 seconds. I gave it an A-. We've definitely seen better Elimination Chamber matches, but they did a really good job telling a great story here with all these women with the time they were given. I believe the 2 Elimination Chamber matches we saw tonight were the 2 shortest Elimination Chamber matches in history. If the main event goes 15 minutes and 10 seconds, you combine that together, and we've got 30 minutes and 55 seconds. I believe most Elimination Chamber matches themselves go longer than that individually. So that was kind of interesting. But for what this was, I liked it. I'll give it an A-. Up next, we're going to see Ronda Rousey and Naomi taking on Sonya Deville and Charlotte Flair. Charlotte comes out with her robe. She looks like she's wearing a morph suit almost. Sonya Deville, again, has just a full-body version of her usual gear. Same with Naomi. And before Ronda comes out, we get a video package highlighting Ronda. Ronda comes out to a big pop. She's wearing her judo gi, which I thought was a nice twist on her usual ring gear. And we know the rules here. Sonya has her arm in a sling because of the armbar from Ronda Rousey, who won the Royal Rumble and is now challenging Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. And Naomi and Sonya have been feuding with each other for, I think, 600 years now. So this is just a continuation of that. Ronda put Sonya in the armbar a few weeks back, so Sonya's arm's in a sling. So as a result, the stipulation of this match that was signed is that Ronda has to have one arm tied behind her back, and as predicted, as soon as the match goes to start, Sonya reveals her arm's fine and takes the sling off. Ronda just kind of laughs. They kind of circle around the ring. Ronda lands a head kick and then does like she jumps off. She grabs Sonya's arm and does like a jumping knee onto her head. So it's your pretty standard tag match here. There's not a whole lot to note. Charlotte refuses to get in the ring with Ronda in the early going. Naomi ends up getting in. We have a good back and forth. Naomi is easily the best performer of this match. Lots of kicks. She does a corkscrew, crossbody to the outside, crossbody to the inside. Lots of kicks and high-flying moves from her. Ronda's going to end up getting weakened before she's able to get Naomi into the match. Charlotte finally comes in when Ronda had the armbar on Sonya Deville, and then she attacks her from behind. Ronda is going to later return the favor when Naomi gets hit with a huge powerbomb by Charlotte Flair and then gets caught into the figure 4. Ronda comes in, stomps on her head. Sonya gets tagged in. Naomi ends up getting out of there after a minute, and Ronda goes to apply the armbar. She dares Charlotte to get in the ring again. Charlotte steps in. She brings Sonya closer for her. Charlotte won't come in. Ronda asks the crowd if they want a souvenir, locks in the armbar, and gets the submission in 9 minutes and 15 seconds. So, ironically enough, same amount of time as the pre-show match with Rey Mysterio and The Miz. I'm going to give it a C-. This was the weakest match of the night to me, and they did a decent job with what they have, but having Ronda have one hand tied behind her back really handicaps them. Naomi easily the best performer during this match. Ronda did a decent job, better than I think most people expected, but this was nothing special and not really worth going out of your way to watch it. It did nothing more than build for Ronda and Charlotte, which, hopefully the WrestleMania match lives up to its potential. Up next, we're going to see Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss with Happy Corbin at ringside in a Falls Count Anywhere match. If you would have asked me before the night started what was going to be the worst match of the night, this would have been my prediction. This was the one I was least interested in. It made the least amount of sense to me to take up a pay-per-view slot. And I understand the reasoning behind adding the Falls Count Anywhere stipulation. It was either that or a no DQ match. You've got to have an excuse for Happy Corbin to interfere. Otherwise, there's no realistic reason why this match goes longer than 2 minutes. So we are going to see tons of interference right out of the gate from Happy Corbin. After he stops interfering, McIntyre's going to take back over. They're going to brawl to the outside. Happy Corbin interferes again, but McIntyre just kind of no-sells it and stares at him. Happy Corbin runs up the ring. McIntyre chases after him. And after Corbin goes to the back, I'm 99% sure we hear McIntyre call him a pussy. And then Madcap tries to chase him down, but eats a big boot for his troubles. Of course, Happy's going to come back out and attack him after McIntyre goes to powerbomb him off the stage. They suplex him on the ramp. They work their way back down, and as they get back to the ring, McIntyre's going to take back over, start tossing him around. And then as he gets him in the corner, he runs at him and does a back elbow in the corner and sets up his patented reverse Alabama slam. But unfortunately, Madcap Moss tucks his chin and rolls forward a little bit too much and literally lands right on top of his head. Gets an audible reaction from Corey Graves and Michael Cole. Happy Corbin, you can see, freaks out and looks legit freaked out at ringside. Somehow, Madcap Moss doesn't have a broken fucking neck from this. I'm pretty sure he's got the strongest neck in the history of professional wrestling. McIntyre's going to set up the Claymore. Corbin pulls Madcap out of the ring. Some more brawling at ringside. McIntyre starts tossing them around, but they fight him off as he goes to hit a Claymore to send Madcap over the barricade. We've got Happy Corbin comes in with a chair and just wallops him in the back with it. They bring him back and with a full head of steam run McIntyre through the barricade. We get them back in the ring, and of course McIntyre takes back over. And this time, Happy Corbin decides enough's enough and he's going to try and attack him from behind. But McIntyre's had enough and swings the fucking sword at his head. The referee does nothing about it. Happy Corbin screaming at her. And I believe it's Corey Graves tells us, well, I mean, it's technically not illegal. So you heard it here first, folks. In a no DQ match, murder and attempted murder is legal. Gets a huge reaction from the crowd. McIntyre holds up the sword. 3, 2, 1. Big Claymore while holding the Claymore. Thankfully, the Claymore McIntyre hit Madcap Moss with was not the actual sword, but rather the kick. Gets the 3 count here in exactly 9 minutes. I give this match a B. I expected this match to be pretty bad. I expected it to be boring. It may overly exceeded my expectations. Give Madcap Moss all the money. I don't know how he's okay, but he is. Wow. Very brutal match between these two, but of course, this is the stepping stone for the WrestleMania match between Happy Corbin and Drew McIntyre that I'm pretty confident we are getting. I'm looking forward to it. It is definitely a bit of a step down from McIntyre's past 2 WrestleManias, but I do believe that it'll be a fun match overall. Happy Corbin, for all the flack he gets from people, is actually a pretty consistently good worker and a great character overall, and I've always thought he does a really good job. Up next, we get a commercial announcing that Ron Simmons is going to be on the Broken Skull sessions after the show, so I'm definitely going to be checking that out here shortly. And then we see The Miz is getting interviewed backstage about the Mysterios, and he says that, you know what, he needs an athlete. He needs a global superstar. I'm going to make a phone call. So I believe we're setting up a tag team match for WrestleMania. Of course, there's a lot of people online saying, oh, he's bringing in Cody Rhodes, but I don't believe that's what we're going with here. I believe this is going to be like our celebrity attraction match, and if I had to guess, it's probably going to be the Mysterios versus Miz and Logan Paul at WrestleMania, but we will find out soon enough. Up next, Becky Lynch versus Lita for the Raw Women's Championship. This gets a huge ovation from the crowd. They're going to go 12 minutes and 15 seconds. They tell a great story here. Becky tries to go for the disarmer early. They have a lot of back and forth with strikes and rest holds, and then we have Becky really working on the neck of Lita, and they tell the story of, you know, Lita having all these neck operations and neck injuries throughout her career. So they tell a great story here. Becky with a lot of exploder suplexes. Becky's kind of just ragdolling around the ring. Lita starts to fight back. Lita shows some fire. We get Becky at one point tries to go for Lita's moonsault, but Lita moves out of the way. You know, Lita is really fired up here. Lita pays tribute to Trish Stratus with that little handspring head scissors into the corner while Becky's on the top rope. This match to me was just absolutely spectacular. Lita near the end of the match is going to counter another disarmer. She's going to get up, counter a manhandle slam. She's going to hit the twist of fate. And then she's going to climb the top ropes and hit the moonsault. Crowd goes crazy. Becky kicks out at 2.5. A lot of emotion on Lita's face here. And Lita's going to end up picking her up. And then after she does, Becky hits a desperation manhandle slam and gets the 3 count to retain the Raw Women's Championship in 12 minutes, 15 seconds. After the match, Becky leaves. Lita is very emotional. And she gets a huge ovation from the crowd. Huge Lita chants here. They play her music and give her the send-off she's always deserved. If this is the final time we see Lita, I'm happy she finally got the send-off she deserved. This is so much better than the send-off she was given, nearly 16 years ago at Survivor Series 2006. People who know me know my 2 favorite female wrestlers of all time are Lita and AJ Lee. I got very emotional watching this. I watched it back again this morning, and it definitely had me tearing up a bit seeing her finally get this moment. It's starting to get me now. It was very powerful to see her finally get this moment, and very deserved. So if this is the last time we are going to see Lita, I'm happy that this is the send-off she's going to get. I'm going to give this an A. We get an Undertaker Hall of Fame package and an amazing video package highlighting the Phenom, the cornerstone. If you're making a Mount Rushmore of WWE, not just pro wrestling, that one's a little bit tougher to do. But if you're making a Mount Rushmore of WWE, the Undertaker has to be on it. This man is, if you want to talk about the true WWE Hall of Famer, it's the Undertaker. This man deserves it. I don't have words to describe what the Undertaker means to the business and what the Undertaker means to WWE. To my childhood, the Undertaker was such a huge part of my wrestling fandom growing up. He's in my top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time, and probably most people's, and for very good reasons. Seeing him go into the Hall of Fame, it's a very feel-good moment. That is, of course, going to coincide with SmackDown the night before WrestleMania begins. Up next, we are going to get the Usos defending the SmackDown Tag Team Championship against the Viking Raiders, except they're fucking not. Because we flew the Viking Raiders and the Usos overseas to just have the Viking Raiders get attacked and have the match not even happen. F across the board for this. What the fuck was the point of this? This was hands down the worst part of the pay-per-view. If this happened on a SmackDown, I could defend it. But they built to this match on SmackDown. They built this up. The Raiders earned their tag team title match. And then we have this set up a future match between them because the Usos cut them off. What the fuck was the point of this? Why bother? This was just such a waste of time on all fronts. It really dragged the entire pay-per-view down as a result. The premium live event. It dragged the whole event down as a result. This was pointless. This was meaningless. Just don't put the match on the card. F. It's main event time. Bobby Lashley defending the WWE Championship against Seth Rollins, Riddle, AJ Styles, Austin Theory, and Brock Lesnar, an Elimination Chamber match. It's going to go 15 minutes, 10 seconds. We're going to kick things off with Austin Theory and Seth Rollins. These two have phenomenal chemistry. They're working the crowd really well, working together really well. And eventually, Austin Theory is getting flung into the chamber side, and then he gets power bombed. It's a play on the buckle bomb by Seth Rollins. Seth freaking Rollins power bombs him through Bobby Lashley's pod. Bobby's going to fall backwards and hit his head on the pod and one of the bars that's holding it up. And Bobby Lashley officially at this moment is eliminated from the match. He's going to be placed in the concussion protocol. Unfortunately, truth of the matter is Bobby has a very bad shoulder injury that occurred during his match with Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, which if you go back and watch the way he's taking those German suplexes. He starts favoring one side and starts only landing on one shoulder. I'm pretty sure You can tell that it happened in that match. It looks like he's going to be out 4 months and is going to miss WrestleMania, so they had to do what they had to do here. So Bobby is going to be the first one officially eliminated from this match. Rather uneventful. My initial thoughts watching it live, I didn't think much about it. I thought maybe he was injured, but my initial thoughts live was, did they really just do this to have Bobby losing the title without having to have him get beat by Brock? That was not the case, but what's going to happen next is we're going to get Riddle coming out, and he is going to end up taking over the match for a bit, but then Seth Rollins takes right back over. Seth Rollins controls the first little bit of this match, honestly. And we see a reverse suplex to Riddle from the top rope. We're going to have, by Seth Rollins, we're going to have AJ Styles come out next. AJ kind of starts to clear house. We have a spot where he tries to back suplex Riddle off the top rope. Seth Rollins shows up, clubs AJ Styles in the back, throws him off, wants to back suplex Riddle himself. AJ Styles comes back, fights him off, throws him down, goes to back suplex. Seth Rollins comes up and tries to back suplex him alongside AJ Styles. But then Austin Theory is going to pop up out of nowhere, and he's going to powerbomb those two off of the middle rope. And then when he turns around, he's going to get hit with a floating bro by Riddle. Riddle then is going to take both Seth Rollins and AJ Styles and hit them with Orton's DDT. Theory's out on the outside again. Theory's been getting destroyed in this match. And then he hits them with Orton's DDT, and then he goes to only that place Randy Orton usually goes. He's smacking them mad. He's doing the punches. But then the timer hits. And he realizes, oh, Brock might be coming out. So he turns to Brock, and he's doing this. And we go back and forth between the pods. But Bobby Lashley's supposed to be out next. But Bobby's not there. We haven't officially had him announced as being officially out of the match yet. Like I said, he technically was out first, but he's not officially been announced as out yet. They said they were hoping to provide an update. As this happens, Brock just kicks through his chamber after they go back to fighting. He's going to come in, and he is going to absolutely clean house. He's going to immediately clothesline the hell out of everybody that's up. Hits an F5 to Seth Rollins. 1, 2, 3. Rollins is out. He picks up Riddle. F5. 1, 2, 3. Riddle's eliminated. He ends up, lifting up AJ Styles for like a double leg takedown, but just slams him down. Ends up hitting him with a huge German suplex. F5. AJ Styles is out. So now we're down to Austin Theory and Brock Lesnar. And Theory works his way up, and we see him work his way up the turnbuckle and turn and looks at Brock. Just absolutely horrified. Amazing acting and selling from Austin Theory here. After the first elimination happens, which is Seth Rollins, Cole does provide the update that Bobby Lashley is in the concussion protocol and will not be returning. So we are going to have a new WWE champion no matter what, which made Brock Lesnar winning rather predictable. We get Theory gets chased around by Brock Lesnar. He ends up running into Brock's pod. Brock kicks through it, drags him out, suplexes him to the outside. Brock looks furious. He has his gloves off at this point. Goes up to Theory. Theory's begging him for a second, and Brock leans in like he's going to listen. But boom, low blow from Austin Theory. Brock drops to his knees, rolls into the ring. Theory grabs the ropes, rolls through, and hits a huge drop kick to the face of Brock Lesnar. Hits a DDT for a 1, barely a 2 count. Brock kicks out. Brock gets up. He looks pissed, but he also starts laughing. Theory looks shocked and terrified and tells Brock, I didn't mean it. He's begging Brock no. Then he runs to the outside of the ring, starts climbing the chamber, and then actually starts climbing to get out. And then Brock scales the chamber in a matter of about 2 seconds, drags him down, and in the most brutal part of the Elimination Chamber matches the entire night, slams Austin Theory's face off of the plexiglass wall of the chamber on top of a pod about 3 times, lifts Theory up for an F5, and F5s him off of the chamber pod, takes him to the outside, pulls him back in the ring. 1, 2, 3. Austin Theory is eliminated. Your winner in 15 minutes, 10 seconds, and new WWE Champion Brock Lesnar. I'm going to give this match a C+. Had it not been for how amazing of a job Austin Theory did in the ending and how great these guys did before Brock came in, it probably would have been a much lower grade. Don't get me wrong, this did a great job setting up the WrestleMania main event with Brock and Roman. Brock is a man possessed right now in his WWE run. The problem is AJ Styles, Riddle, and Seth Rollins all lost credibility in this match with how quickly they were dispatched of by Brock Lesnar. They all lost their credibility with this. The Raw main roster, and Theory kind of got destroyed. Theory's the only one that landed any offense on Brock Lesnar, and I'll get to Austin Theory in a minute. But Austin Theory did a great job selling in this match, and he made the Brock Lesnar stuff really good. But Brock just destroyed Raw's main event talent in this match. And apparently he's going to be on Raw tonight, but that's going to be the last time we're seeing him on Raw in the build to WrestleMania, scheduled for plenty of SmackDowns. Like I said, this match kind of killed the Raw main eventers. And yeah, so we're going to be seeing Brock versus Roman, a champion versus champion match at WrestleMania. That is officially our main event. We will also have, of course, Ronda, the Women's Royal Rumble winner, taking on Charlotte Flair. But we're going to have Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch, and she's going to look to get her revenge on Becky Lynch for SummerSlam. So our main matches of WrestleMania, our top 3 matches of WrestleMania are set. But for Austin Theory, I just want to say, Austin Theory himself saved this match from being worse than what it was. The entire men's main event scene is buried on Raw now. Of course, they will be able to work their way back, don't get me wrong, but this was not good for them. But Austin Theory's acting and his selling throughout this entire match. Give this guy all the money, and please, please, WWE, Austin Theory needs to win the Money in the Bank this year. This guy is your next main event talent, and I hope they see it. This guy deserves it, and I hope they run with it. So, overall, WWE Elimination Chamber from the Jeddah Superdome in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, attendance of 33,328. I'm going to overall give this a C+. Not terrible, but not great. A pretty middle of the pack pay-per-view. It had some really good matches on it. My favorite match of the night is definitely Becky Lynch and Lita, followed by Bianca Belaire and Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Doudrop, and Nikki ASH in the Women's Elimination Chamber. My least favorite match of the night is Ronda Rousey and Naomi versus Sonya Deville and Charlotte, but that's only because the Usos and Viking Raiders weren't technically a match. I'm going to give this show a C+, and that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Tune in tomorrow for an episode of Wrestling the Past, where Drew and I will be talking about the first episode of Nitro. That'll be here on the YouTube channel in video form, and on Apple Podcasts and Spotify in audio form. Don't forget to check us out. Follow us on those platforms. Leave us a review and a rating. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.